Amazing. The President of the United States of America speaking at about 4 o'clock this morning, UK time. I'm looking at the front of the New York Times, which Anne-Marie managed to get hold of, which has got bin Laden killed by US forces in Pakistan. Obama says, declaring justice has been done. Qaeda leader reported dead in targeted assault. An emblem of evil in the US, an icon to the cause of terror. So we've got that to look at. Joining us now on the line is the chair of the Union of Jewish Students here in the UK, but he's over in New York, and he was at ground zero when the news broke. Alex Dwek. Alex, good morning.
Morning.
So are you over there on holiday?
No, I was actually here for a conference. I was actually in Washington, D.C., for a conference with Jewish students from across the world.
Right.
We were getting a bus from Washington, D.C. to New York, and we arrived in New York just as the news broke out on Twitter.
Wow.
As soon as we heard the news, we rushed to ground zero. At that point, there was only about 15 people there. But as the news sort of started circulating around New York, just people started just pouring into ground zero to a point within about an hour, there were about 1,000 people there with American flags, singing, dancing in the street. It was just unbelievable.
So, I mean, how many people turned up?
Well, the celebrations are still going on. It's just after 3 a.m. here in New York. I mean, we left about sort of half an hour ago, and I think there were close to 2,000 people there. It was absolutely jam-packed. It was a really interesting environment, actually, because even though people were dancing and singing, there was a point where one person in the audience, in the crowd, said, everyone stop, let's pause and let's have a moment of silence for all those who were killed in 9/11, and the whole crowd went silent, and they were putting peace signs in the air. So it's kind of, I think, a mixed sort of feeling and emotions in New York at the moment. I think partly a lot of relief here that there can be some closure on the events of 9/11, but also for Jewish students, actually. So today is Yom HaShoah. It's a Holocaust Memorial Day for Jewish people, and I think it's an interesting blend of emotions, I think, for Jewish people across the world.
Absolutely. I don't think it's a foreclosure on Al Qaeda. I'm afraid. I think it's probably just the beginning. I'm afraid. I think that there will be those people who will go out there to avenge his murder, and I think we need to be even more vigilant now than we were before.
I think that was interesting enough for our group of British people there. It was one of our first reactions was, what is going to be the response from Al Qaeda all over the world? And I think absolutely, I agree with you that it's going to be a time where people need to be vigilant, and something could be happening. Hopefully not, but you never know. There could be some sort of response soon.
I wonder whether or not we'll have the same thing we had last time, where Americans just refused to travel because, after the planes went in all those years ago, people got very scared about flying. Now I think this has happened. People are going to say, well, there are 3 or 4 other people within Al Qaeda who could be an even bigger threat than Osama bin Laden.
I think, to be honest, the mood in New York at the moment, people aren't even really thinking about that. They just seem to be enjoying the moment here and really just, sort of celebrating. I think when I said relief earlier, I think it's more sort of closure. I think that was more to do with actually the events of 9/11 rather than Al Qaeda itself. I don't think people here think this is the end, but more that, for those especially so close to the tragedy here in New York, that they can have a little bit, they can have a bit of closure that the person who was ultimately responsible for that is now dead. Yes,
historic moment all round. Alex, nice to talk to you. Thank you for that. That's Alex Dwek, chair of the Union of Jewish Students.